All right, we move with the latest news break that is coming in right now. Home Minister Amit Shah has met the Lok Sabha Speaker. News break just about filtering in. Viewers, read it in context with the resignation of the Vice President of India, where Amit Shah is at Om Birla's residence. Om Birla presides over the lower house, Lok Sabha. Jagdeep Dhankhar, the Vice President who has put in his resignation, the resignation since then been accepted, presides over the upper house, Rajya Sabha. Now, Amit Shah, the Home Minister, is at the Speaker's residence. Discussion likely on Judge Verma impeachment. So a lot going on in terms of various facets and aspects of the story which is developing. My colleague Himanshu joining us for more details. Himanshu, what more can you add?
देखिए बिल्कुल स्पीकर ओम बिरला से मुलाकात करने पहुंचे हैं देश के गृह मंत्री अमित शाह और ये मुलाकात पिछले 15 से 20 मिनट से चल रही है दोनों के बीच में और ये माना जा रहा है कि उपराष्ट्रपति पद से जगदीप धनखड़ के इस्तीफा देने के बाद वो मुलाकात करने पहुंचे हैं क्योंकि दोनों ही दूसरे सदन में जो लोकसभा स्पीकर हैं वो चेयर करते हैं और जस्टिस वर्मा के खिलाफ जो प्रस्ताव स्पीकर ओम बिरला के पास आया है जिस पर 145 सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज के सांसदों के सिग्नेचर हैं उसको लेकर जो है वो बातचीत हो रही है, उस पर चर्चा संभव है। लेकिन एक चीज जरूर है कि चूंकि जस्टिस वर्मा के पर जो प्रस्ताव आया है उसको लेकर जो कमेटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूट होनी है उसमें किन किन को सदस्य बनाया जा सकता है, इस सब चीजों को लेकर जो है वो डिस्कशन होगा। और साथ ही साथ जिस तरीके से पिछले 2 दिन से लोकसभा और राज्यसभा के अंदर गतिरोध बना हुआ है, उस गतिरोध को कैसे खत्म किया जा सकता है, इन तमाम इश्यूज पर जो है वो बातचीत होगी।
हिमांशु, बहुत शुक्रिया कि आप हमसे जुड़े। Thank you, my colleague Himanshu, for joining us, giving us details, because all of this, especially this development, needs to be read in context of what happened late last night, which was the resignation of the Vice President of India who chairs the Rajya Sabha. Dramatic, unprecedented, unceremonious. Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar resigns from post citing health concerns.
No, I think the House is...
Day 1 of a stormy monsoon session, 9:25 p.m. Dhankhar invoked Article 67A, citing medical advice and stepped down, effectively, immediately. Mid-term exit, only 3 years in office. His term, which began on August 2022, ended prematurely with nearly 2 years left. Resignation accepted by President Murmu. President Draupadi Murmu accepted the letter formalizing the vacancy in the second highest constitutional post. Harivansh takes over Rajya Sabha. Deputy Chairman Harivansh Narayan Singh will now preside over the upper house until a new Vice President is elected. Article 67 and 68 in focus. Constitutional machinery kicks in. Article 67A for resignation, Article 68 mandating election as soon as possible. Upcoming Vice President elections loom. Election Commission must schedule a vote by Parliament's Electoral College, both houses including nominated Rajya Sabha members. NDA in crisis mode. Was the ruling alliance taken by surprise and now evaluating potential candidates? With stone-cold silence from BJP broken by a short, what some would call cryptic tweet by the Prime Minister. Opposition smears more than meets the eye. Opposition suggested deeper reasons behind the sudden exit. The same opposition had sought an impeachment motion against Jagdeep Dhankhar in 2024. Rare, historic move. Dhankhar only the third vice president to resign mid-term, following V.V. Giri and R. Venkataraman, and the first to do so for health reasons. The first to do so on health grounds, the Vice President of India has resigned. Lots of conspiracy theories are abound. Which one is the most probable is something we're going to discuss during the course of this bulletin. But viewers, right now, all indications point to what took place yesterday in Rajya Sabha, which is a possible impeachment motion when it came down to Justice Verma.
जगदीप धनखड़ ईश्वर की शपथ लेता हूं कि मैं विधि द्वारा स्थापित भारत के संविधान के प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखूंगा.
Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar shocks with an unforeseen resignation.
One second, honorable members.
Shock gives way to speculation. And conspiracy theories abound. Trigger opposition motion against Verma.
Mr. Justice Yashwant Verma. Sir, please.
Opposition-sponsored motion to remove Justice Yashwant Verma after a massive cash recovery from his residence. Opposition MPs submitted the notice in Rajya Sabha. Dhankhar, as chairman of the House, accepted it. This reportedly infuriated the government as Dhankhar move denied the NDA the chance to lead the narrative against judicial corruption. A phone call from the centre. According to sources, a call from the centre followed Dhankhar's decision. The conversation quickly escalated into an argument. Dhankhar reportedly responded sharply and cited the powers of his office during this exchange. The call is believed to have set off alarm bells within the government. No confidence threat and preemptive exit. Following the acrimonious exchange, rumblings of a government-backed no-confidence motion against the VP began. This comes just 6 months after the opposition had moved a similar motion. Sources say Dhankhar, a seasoned political operator, chose to resign rather than risk the humiliation of being pushed out. Government's cold shoulder. Hours before resignation, Union Minister JP Nadda and Kiran Rijiju skipped a meeting of the Business Advisory Committee chaired by Dhankhar. Their absence was interpreted as deliberate. Nadda's remarks in the House, only what I will say will go on record, during opposition leader Mallikarjun Kharge's address also drew criticism, with some interpreting it as disrespect to the chair.
Nothing will go on record. Whatever I'll say, that will go on record. You should know.
A parliament without a farewell. The absence of a farewell address by the Vice President deepened the sense of intrigue. Opposition leaders described the resignation as inexplicable. Health concern or face-saving exit. While health reasons were cited, there has been no prior report of a major illness. Speculation that was a face-saving narrative, the most palatable public reason for a politically triggered move. Ultimately, the health reason doesn't match up when the Vice President said this on the 10th of July.
I will retire at the right time. August 2027, subject to divine intervention.
The curious case of the sudden resignation by the Vice President of India. Did a sudden health plea mask deeper political tremors? Was it pressure? Was it preemptive? Or was it plain palace intrigue? Top focus on To The Point this evening. And here's what we have are the best editors, political analysts to break it down on what really was it that led to that resignation at 9:25 p.m. last night. Let's cut across. Joining me, Rajdeep Sardesai, our consulting editor, Rajat Sethi, political commentator, Javed Ansari, senior journalist, Rashid Kidwai, author, senior journalist, Ashutosh, political analyst. All of them have studied Parliament. Some of them have covered Parliament very closely over the years. And Rajdeep, you're one of them. How would you read with what happened yesterday Which conspiracy theory do you subscribe to?
First of all, Preeti, I think that was a wonderfully written story because it brings together all the various conspiracy theories doing the rounds. What is increasingly clear, whether conspiracy or not, this has been in the making for a while. This wasn't something that happened at 9 p.m. yesterday. This has been building up for the last couple of months. Apparently, sources close to the former vice president are saying he was feeling uneasy about some of the about the manner in which the government was responding to some of the issues he was raising. Principally, one of the pet peeves of the vice president was the issue of the judiciary. Judicial independence, judicial corruption, judicial interventions in parliament. These are issues that Mr. Dhankar, a former Supreme Court lawyer, felt very strongly about. And it was that which we are told was the trigger for his eventual ouster. I'm not using the word resignation, but possible ouster, because the manner in which he took up the case of Justice Yashwant Verma, in whose house cash was found, Mr. Dhankar was determined to push ahead with an impeachment motion, allowed a notice which was signed primarily by opposition MPs to be tabled in parliament even before the government could react. And it almost seemed as if Mr. Dhankar therefore had made taking on the judiciary his personal cause. And that had embarrassed the Modi government because the Modi government was looking for better relations with the judiciary, and then you had Mr. Dhankar who wanted to take on the judiciary and create a potential parliament versus judiciary conflict if the Justice Yashwant Verma impeachment went through. So that was the trigger, but it's been building up, we are told, for a couple of months. You can see the comments that Mr. Dhankar has made on the farmers issue. We are also told that there was one foreign visit which Dhankar and family had planned, and there were elements in the government who scotched it. J.D. Vance, the US Vice President, was here last month, and protocol would have suggested that the Indian Vice President would be hosting him. Even that didn't happen. So something went wrong in this relationship in the last couple of months. The trigger, of course, we believe was what happened with the Justice Yashwant Verma case in Parliament yesterday. But clearly, health reasons are only, it seems, a fig leaf to give the Vice President a chance to exit. Some believe actually that he decided to exit before he was pushed out and almost preempted what the government, his close associates felt was intending to do, which is remove him from the Vice President's chair.
But Rajdeep, how does it all add up? Because at one end you had somebody who was seen perception-wise as a loyalist, to the limit that the opposition not once but twice wanted to move and moved a no-confidence motion against him in Parliament today. Of course, the same opposition somewhere down the line are championing his cause, so that's come full circle. How does it all add up? Do you also see now Jagdeep Dhankhar take the Satyapal Malik route?
No, I don't think we can say that Jagdeep Dhankhar is taking the Satyapal Malik route. Certainly not yet. What is very clear is the opposition is fishing in troubled waters. They want to suggest that there is some major constitutional crisis, suggest that this is the typical Modi-Shah way of operating, of use and throw politics, while fully knowing that Jagdeep Dhankhar was someone who was seen to be the mouthpiece of the government, and as you're right, tried to move an impeachment motion against him not too long ago. So forget the opposition for a moment. What does it say about the way the government functions is the question. Is it that if any constitutional authority is seen to exercise any kind of autonomy, he or she will be immediately brought in line? Remember, the Supreme Court has already tried to clip the powers of governors and presidents when it comes to sitting on bills. And now we have a situation where a presidential reference has been brought in, wherein the president is effectively challenging the Supreme Court's writ. So you do have several issues where the government is making it very clear that they will not allow anyone to enter the so-called writ of this government. And maybe Jagdeep Dhankhar made that one vital mistake of trying to, in some way, after having spent years being the mouthpiece of the government, actually departing from the government's view when it came to the judiciary.
Optics, Rajdeep, has been something that this government has got mostly right all the time. this might not serve too well in the larger scheme of things. Do you concur?
Well, not really. You see, look, I don't think unless Jagdeep Dhankhar comes out tomorrow and, as you said, becomes a Satyapal Malik and takes on the government, I don't think the government is too concerned about what happens to Jagdeep Dhankhar and whether this will spark off a wider conflict. It's not going to. The government believes it can still control the narrative. They are determined to go ahead with a new vice presidential choice at the earliest, and Jagdeep Dhankhar will be history. That's how this city operates. Delhi is a city where courtiers can become conspirators or enemies the very next day. And that could well happen with Jagdeep Dhankhar. I think the government believes, yes, for today the optics don't seem very favorable, but that public memory is short, and Jagdeep Dhankhar will soon be a footnote in parliamentary history, and the Modi government will move on. The larger issue of that judiciary versus executive conflict that is brewing is the issue that has to be looked at, because remember, it's not just Justice Yadav, there's another impeachment, not just Justice Verma, there's another impeachment process against Justice Yadav which is being sought to be moved. How is all that going to play, and how will the tensions between the judiciary and the executive work out in the months ahead?
Well, that's already seeming to happen, because you have the Home Minister who's right now at the Lok Sabha Speaker's residence, and we believe the topic of discussion is the impeachment motion against Justice Verma. Appreciate you joining us, Rajdeep. I want to bring in Javed Ansari, Rashid Kidwai, Rajat Sethi and Ashutosh into this conversation. I want to bring in Javed and Rashid first. Two journalists who have covered the parliament for the maximum number of years, I know. And Javed, to come to you first, have you ever seen something like this, or is it completely unprecedented?
Well, I haven't seen a vice president resign like this. I have seen Mr. Shankar Dayal Sharma threaten to resign, break down in office, but I've never seen a vice president being forced to exit office in the manner that Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar has been. So this is unprecedented. Mr. Venkatraman and V.V. Giri did quit as vice president, but they went on to contest and win the presidential elections, and they went on to become president. But this is really something really unprecedented, and this is not a run of the mill. It's not something, it's not just a storm in a teacup or something. Just remember, this could come back to hurt them politically. Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar is the second prominent Jat leader, the first being Mr. Satyapal Malik, who's been humiliated and who's been hounded. Satyapal Malik was humiliated, hounded by the government. He was lying in a hospital bed, and the CBI was raiding him. The police were visiting him. And now the second is Mr. Dhankhar. He might for now keep his powder dry, but much will depend on what happens on the ground. If there is some churning, especially and he's voiced his concerns about the farming community amongst the farmers, so he could become a rallying point for the farmers, who are either which way not particularly enamored of this government.
Well, that's exactly what the opposition would hope it does, and these are the 2 points that the opposition has suddenly found, which is the Jat identity of now the former vice president, as well as his affection for farmers, which is also newfound, where the opposition has come into the question. But Rashid Kidwai, of your many decades of covering politics, how do you read the developments of the last 24 hours?
There have been several instances where the presiding officers face problems from their own party or erstwhile party. I remember during Rajiv Gandhi's time, once Junior Minister K.K. Tiwari had made some observations against the then Vice President, Rajya Sabha Presiding Officer, Shankar Dayal Sharma, and Shankar Dayal Sharma had walked out of the chair, and he had threatened to resign, and Rajiv Gandhi and his cabinet colleagues, senior cabinet colleagues, had gone, they apologized, and they persuaded Dr. Shankar Dayal Sharma, a respectable man, to continue. Now, in this instance, if there was any difference of opinion, there are 2-3 things which are very glaring. There is no response mechanism. There was nobody. If health was the issue, then senior ministers, could have called on Mr. Dhankhar at his residence late in the night or today morning. To best of my knowledge, there's been no gesture. So it seems that it is a political thing. If there was a difference of opinion, as I cited the example of K.K. Tiwari versus Shankar Dayal Sharma, there should have been some redressal mechanism. Why was, if assuming there was some point of difference or disagreement, why was he allowed to go in a hurry, in a most bizarre manner? If health was a consideration, then he could have opted out, he could have resigned before the monsoon session of parliament commenced. So the timeline and the fact that in the BSE meeting senior ministers didn't show up. I have also covered parliament for decades. There were never an instance where a parliamentary affairs minister or leader of the house would not go in the business advisory committee meeting.
Okay.
What was the other engagement that was so pressing or so important? We have no details of it.
Well, they've come out, both JP Nadda and Kiran Rijiju have come out and said that they were going to attend the meeting, but because of something untoward, they couldn't. But I want to bring in Rajat Sethi. Are you the one, Rajat, to subscribe to the various conspiracy theories? Because 10 days ago, you had Mr. Dhankar, Rajat, who had said that I will, demit office on August 2027. Until and unless there's divine intervention. So clearly there has been some sort of divine intervention that has made this happen.
Yeah, the divine intervention comes in multiple colors, multiple hues. So I believe there is one divine intervention which eventually resulted in his resignation. But see, in politics, and this is in my limited, experience with politics, I believe that a lot of, especially in such esteemed offices, such high constitutional positions, words say something, then there is a lot that is left between the words for interpreters to either cook conspiracy theories or for later biographies and autobiographies to come in and fill the gaps that is there. Till that time or till that authentic biography is not out, we can only speculate. You can look at the terse tweet that Prime Minister did, clearly hinted at, perhaps there was something which didn't work out well, and you need to give that to these offices where they have to, even if they have to demit the office, they need to do it so that the prestige or the decorum of the office is not hurt. And I believe this is where the vice president chose the right words and he stepped down. But my problem here is that when some esteemed journalists out here suddenly are now portraying that the opposition will latch on to this and will do Kisan Rajniti on top of it, for all these while, for the past 2 years, these were the same opposition leaders who were outside the parliament were mimicking him. These were the same leaders who were mocking him, abusing the chair, bringing impeachment motion. Then these Kisan leader and Jat leader, all these theories go down the drain. See, let us, people come and people go, country stays, these positions stays, and eventually one has to look at from that perspective as well. He did serve, and I believe I agree with all the interventions that he made vis-a-vis the judiciary. And I believe that the judiciary, there is absolutely no authority other than the president and the vice president which can even put out certain questions. Look at those 10, 12 questions that the honorable president has put out are absolutely material, and they need to resolve this.
Okay.
Because I feel that they have been crossing the mandate that the judiciary has and running a show where there are no checks and balances. This was not what was envisaged by our founding fathers. And I believe this is where what he has said, he's now no longer on that position. Let this situation is not going to be discussed after 2 days. It will only come when there is, a possible biography or Dhankarji wants to come back and restart his political life. And then we will again revisit these topics and perhaps there'll be more data on the table. Right now, we are only speculating. So I don't want to indulge myself in speculation.
Well, but speculation is what politics is nowadays because there's that much news that really comes out. But having said that, many would, especially in the government, would hope, Rajat, with what you said, that they have to wait for the biography and not possibly an interview like Mr. Satpal Malik, because that took a life of its own. But Ashutosh, in midst of all the speculation, conspiracy theories that are abound, and there are plenty out there, which do you think is the most possible reason for the resignation?
I have no conspiracy theory to say, but I can tell you one thing, that the last week I was talking to somebody and I met somebody, and then I was told that Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar, Vice President, is very, very upset, very, very angry, and he felt extremely humiliated, and his ego was very hurt. So I just wanted to know what happened to him, and I was told that somebody in the higher up within the BJP itself has really done something to him, and which he was not able to swallow. And he was, I was told that he was literally in tears. So the fact of the matter is that what has happened, what triggered? I was not told that what was the reason behind it, but apparently something has gone wrong. And what has gone wrong, nobody knows. So those who are getting the story that this all has happened on Monday itself, and because everything was all right till the first BAC meeting in the morning, and by 4:30 when the next BAC meeting happened, in which the party president Nadda and the leader of House in Rajya Sabha did not turn up, and also the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju also wasn't there. And so something must have triggered in between 4-5 hours, or just before 4:30 meeting. I don't buy that argument. My argument is very simple. Something was missed between Mr. Vice President and the BJP and the government, and which could not be controlled, or they didn't want to control it, or didn't want to manage it. So finally, it culminated into his resignation. So for me, it was really a surprise, that because when I was told about this incident, I did not anticipate that Mr. Dhankar will go to the extent of resigning it, because we had already known him that he was so close to the government, and government whatever wanted him to do, he did it, whether as a governor of Bengal or as a vice president. And somebody who lived in the political wilderness for more than 2 decades, and who had never thought that he could rise to the post of vice president. If he reached to the vice president, then why should he lose that position, unless something seriously had gone wrong between him and the Modi government?
But what could that be, Javed? Because this was a man who was looked at, dyed in wool, Modi supporter, a loyalist to the core. What could have gone wrong? Because of late, there is this other conspiracy theories that he, off the books, were meeting certain leaders. 2 days ago, there was an image of him shaking hands with Arvind Kejriwal, which clearly mustn't have gone down well with the dispensation. So how did it all come down together? Because this was a man who was seen as an out-and-out loyalist.
Well, an out-and-out loyalist who, for a very large part of his limited tenure, forgot the difference between supine and spine, and eventually ended up paying the price for it. That being said, this is what happened yesterday. That terse phone call was the immediate provocation, was the last straw that poked the camel's back. But trouble has been brewing. They haven't been on the same page for a long time. I have it on reasonably good authority that the vice president has felt buffeted, has felt hemmed in. He in fact confided in a senior leader that things were this bad, had gone that bad, that he couldn't even choose a painting of his choice in his house. He couldn't even have a painting of his choice in his house. He says, I find it difficult to breathe. It's become so suffocating. So even somebody like Mr. Dhankar, who always bent over, who was more than deferential in his interaction and in his with the powers that be, even he found it. And especially the way, look at the alacrity with which the Vice President of India's resignation was accepted within hours. No effort was made to even at least talk to him or persuade him. And then the terse, almost abrasive tweet from the PM this morning, the Prime Minister's reaction, I mean, it tells its own story. There's lots of things happening, and I've never taken names on, so I haven't ever divulged information that was not meant to be told, or that was shared in private. But there's a lot of things happening, and take it from me, in the days to come, there will be a lot more information forthcoming on this subject than what we are aware of at the moment.
All right. Well, that's all the more interesting where political journalism is concerned. But Rashid, would you want to weigh in on that with what Javed was saying?
I think the ruling dispensation is very sure-footed that they can get away just because Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar is a political lightweight. He does not have a much popular following or so, and there was some kind of confrontation, but instead of resolving through a redressal mechanism, through sort of mollifying, through process of accommodation, after all, Mr. Dhankar represented a constitutional post, a very high post in terms of a warrant of protocol, etc., precedence, but there was no mechanism. So government is actually thinks that it can get away, and they will do all the other adjustment. What we are talking about is a deadlock that's supposed to exist between the choice of new BJP president, supposedly some kind of tension between the RSS and Mr. Narendra Modi and Mr. Amit Shah. So they will be able to get one of the factions to get this office of vice president. So some kind of adjustment and compromise is there. I think it's a the resignation of vice president is a combination of two things. One is a sort of arrogance or a deadlock, a kind of confrontation which went unattended. It was allowed to go out of the box. And the second part, that the political masters saw it as an opportunity to accommodate and adjust someone, a very senior, perhaps from the union cabinet, as a vice president, and then in the process you will soon have a new BJP president also.
Well, it's a 2 month, as per the constitution, 2 months for the election of the new vice president, and whoever the vice president is will serve the full 5-year term and not just the term left over by Mr. Dhankar. Rajat, I'll just come to you. I want to take that question which you posed earlier to Ashutosh, and Ashutosh, I'll bring you in first on this because Rajat touched on it, and it's something which is quite apparent, the hypocrisy of the opposition. From mooting an impeachment motion against the man, now you're championing his cause.
See, Preeti, I think the opposition should have a right to have a laugh at, because I think this is not a love for the Jagdeep Dhankhar. Basically, they are laughing at the government itself. They are enjoying at the face loss which the government has got through because of the Jagdeep Dhankhar. I think they have every right to enjoy that. Let them enjoy that moment. I don't see this is hypocritical at all. And why it should be hypocritical? If BJP had been in place of Congress party in opposition right now, they would have also done the same thing. So this is not that suddenly the Congress and the other opposition party has developed some kind of affection, some kind of love affair with Jagdeep Dhankhar, because they all know that Jagdeep Dhankhar, how badly he treated all of them. And badly to the extent that the opposition had to move an impeachment motion against him, not once but twice that effort was made. So let's have some enjoyment, some fun out of this. So I read what Jairam Ramesh has written. I've also heard what Kapil Sibal was saying. But this is more of a fun angle to the story, not a serious angle to the story. And they all to enjoy at the cost of the government itself, who had to cut such a sorry figure because somebody who's supposed to be his puppet has finally resigned, and so ingloriously.
But what's interesting is when you speak of the hypocrisy, you touched on Kapil Sibal. The sheer fact that Kapil Sibal signed the impeachment motion and yet is defending Justice Verma. I don't know how these two things add up. But having said that, Rajat, you want to come in quickly, make your point, and then we'll take final comments.
Well, I mean, I was thinking that Jairam Ramesh would be running short on tissue papers. The kind of teary-eyed farewell that he was giving on Twitter was just unbelievable. But good that they have this very perverse sense of happiness on other people's falling, which is bemusing to everybody, especially what Ashutosh has just mentioned. I mean, instead of looking at their own in-house disorder, where you have a Shashi Tharoor who, basically has largely been written off, their own party leader call him by names, all kinds of things, and then you have the audacity to come out and laugh at others' issues. That just shows why Congress is where Congress is. Again, good luck to them. Coming back to the moot point, I think Jagdeep Dhankhar ji, if there has been an issue, and if he's saying that, say, I couldn't buy a painting, by the way, any constitutional office that you sit or any government post that you occupy, there are set protocols. You don't even have that freedom to go out and buy even a painting. I am sure people who have served in the government know that. I, for once, know that. I know that even a very basic fundamental thing goes through very elaborate bureaucratic procurement processes. So I don't think Jagdeep Dhankhar ji is such a novice that he wouldn't know that. Therefore, I will not believe on all these kite flying theories out there. let this conspiracy mature in a way where, the leader concerned, Jagdeep Dhankarji himself comes out and says that these were the reasons, and then we can do a detailed sort of post-mortem on that as to what happened. Was it legitimate? Was his feeling the pinch, was it justified or unjustified? What leaders said what? Again, these are all theories that, we are just bouncing off each other and perhaps waiting for something to stick on the wall, just to give the opposition some kind of an agenda to latch onto. And I don't think opposition will do service to its own cause if they want to continue latching onto it. Fine, do it for 2 days, but then get back to business after 2 days.
All right,
The
let's take
country
final
moves
comments.
on.
Javed, you wanted to come in quickly, sir.
Yeah, Rajat was talking of political opportunism, and I think you mentioned the point. Political opportunity, there is a thin line difference between political opportunism and real politics. Mr. Modi and the BJP take advantage of the opposition's discomfiture. They find it very convenient to lampoon Mr. Shashi Tharoor at some point of time, and suddenly now he becomes their, they want to make him the poster boy. Are they not fishing in troubled waters? So you take advantage if when your opponent lets his guard down, you take advantage. You try and take a shot. That's precisely what the BJP has been doing in the past, and this is what the opposition say. They are not going. Mr. Dhankar will certainly not be the opposition's knight in shining armor. But at the moment, if because of the way the government has mishandled this issue, if they can cause some political embarrassment to the government, they will certainly try to do it, and they are within their rights, just as the ruling party is within its rights to try and embarrass the opponents.
Okay, Rashid Kidwai, it's foolhardy, especially with this government, to even venture a guess, but because we are talking about conspiracy theories, who do you reckon is going to be the front runner when it comes down to the position for the VP? And the question that I asked Rashid, and Javed also touched on it in his submission, do you see any parallels now with Satyapal Malik?
Well, that I leave it to Mr. Dhankar's judgment. He is a very astute politician and a lawyer. I think at some stage in life he would want to put the records straight, and if he does that in terms of moments, etc., it is going to be quite embarrassing for the government of the day whenever he chooses to. To respond to your first question, I think it is very hazardous to speculate who would step in Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar's shoes, because we do not know what will happen. If you look at the decision making process, it's kept as a very kind of close guarded secret, and people don't get to know. What I can see, that there is going to be a full timer BJP RSS person having a total kind of faith and respect within the BJP Sangh Parivar. Maybe someone like Rajnath Singh or somebody from the Union Cabinet, as I'm saying. Maybe it can be Nirmala, it can be Shivraj Singh Chauhan. It depends because the Vice President is going to outlive this 18th Lok Sabha. His or her tenure would be till 2030, well past 2029 Lok Sabha election. So I think the choice will be very carefully made. There will not be a kind of outsider like Mr. Jagdeep Dhankhar, though he was from BJP, but he had been in the Congress, he had been with Samajwadi Party, he's been with Charan Singh's party. So I don't see a prominent lawyer or someone outsider getting in. It is going to be someone, an insider, a close confidant of Prime Minister Modi and Mr. Amit Shah.
Okay, close confidant. You want to add to that, Ashutosh? Because especially social media is a buzz that they found a new Mr. Satyapal Malik.
See, Satyapal Malik was a different kind of a person. He was mentored by Choudhry Charan Singh, and Choudhry Charan Singh was known for plain, simple, straight talking. Whereas Jagdeep Dhankhar is a much clever person, much clever politician. He got one opportunity, and the way he manipulated things for himself, that he rose to the post of vice president. So the man like him, I doubt and I dread whether he will behave exactly the way Satyapal Malik was behaving, because Satyapal Malik was very hurt when he was removed as a governor, though he was placed to Manipur and then he was not in the northeast and then had gone to the Goa. But Satyapal Malik is a very, very hard-headed person. Whereas this man, the Jagdeep Dhankhar, is not that kind of a person. He's a malleable person. He is very smart, very clever, and he knows that Mr. Narendra Modi and Amit Shah can have a limited tenure, whereas the RSS is going to stay. So why he should say something which damage RSS and the BJP itself? So if he is a clever politician, he will make that distinction.
Okay. Final comments, Rajat. You want to quickly come in and then we'll close the show or the debate.
So I just feel that the conspiracy theories will still carry on for a couple of days now that we have an acting VP. I believe the Rajya Sabha proceedings are going to go back in track. The opposition's core questions will have to be again brought to the fore. There are certain important things which have to be discussed. And very soon the news cycle will change and we will see the ex-Vice President Dhankarji go back into the history pages. And I believe that Satyapal Malik by no means is a litmus test of how everybody who's out of favor or out of post should react. That's unbecoming of him as an individual, Satyapal Malik. And he is not somebody who can be a benchmark of anybody who has occupied a public office, no matter what party you come from, no matter what post you have served on. So let's keep Satyapal Malik out of equation. There is a gentleman here, Satyapal Malik, and Dhankarji, who, if he genuinely feels in the causes the judiciary needs to course correct, he can go back to his law practice and then do serve the cause in the future days to come. There will be a lot of popular support, let me tell you, if he can go back and argue those court cases in the Supreme Court and try and seek accountability from the highest court of our country.
Well, you know, but Rajat, in all of this, he's also 74, just one short of 75.
I mean,
that's another conspiracy theory. So let's leave it at that. I appreciate all four of you for joining us. Thank you there. All right, news coming in from Karnataka before we move on to the state of Uttar Pradesh after claims made by a whistleblower that he buried many bodies in Dharmasthala. The Karnataka High Court has set up a special investigative team to probe the charges.
It's a big India Today impact. After days of relentless focus on the alleged Dharmasthala mass murders, the Karnataka government is finally taking strong action. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has now ordered a full-fledged SIT probe into charges of disappearances, sexual abuse and murders. A special investigation team or SIT headed by top cop P. Mohanty will investigate the claims and ghastly crimes in and around the holy town of Dharmasthala. Advocates have now urged the government to set up a dedicated helpline for filing complaints.
To look into Dharmasthala issues, there has been a complaint, there has been a public hue and cry. Government has taken note of all this and then constituted an SIT to look into this entire thing.
This move is welcomed by Karnataka BJP.
SIT ರಚನೆ ಆಗಿರುವಂತದ್ದು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಧರ್ಮಸ್ಥಳದ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದವರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ನಾವು ಕೂಡ ಅದನ್ನು ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ವಿಚ್ ಹಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಧರ್ಮಸ್ಥಳ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂಥ ಜನ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುವಂಥ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಇದುವರೆಗೆ ನಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅವೆಲ್ಲವೂ ಕೂಡ ಅಲ್ಲಿಯ ಸ್ಥಳೀಯರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ಥಳೀಯ ಪೊಲೀಸರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ.
Long ignored patterns of missing women, unnatural deaths, murders and sexual assaults in Dharmasthala spanning more than 2 decades will now be probed. The investigation began gaining traction after a whistleblower came forward with horrifying claims. He alleged that corpses of several women and girls, including school students, were found naked, bearing visible signs of violence and possible sexual assault. The whistleblower says he was threatened, warned that he too would be cut into pieces if he spoke out. Now families of the missing are breaking their silence. Sujata, whose daughter went missing during a college trip to Dharmasthala in 2003, says she was assaulted and silenced when she sought justice.
ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಾನು ಬಂದೆ, ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು 4 ಜನ ಬಂದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮಗಳನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಕೈಯೆಲ್ಲ ರೂಮಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ಹಾಕಿ ಕೈಯೆಲ್ಲ ಕಟ್ಟ ಹಾಕಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗಾಯಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ.
Amid this, Padmalata murder case has resurfaced in Mangaluru 39 years later. Padmalata, a resident of Bolyaru village in Dharmasthala, Belethangadi Taluk of Dakshin Kannada district, mysteriously went missing on December 22, 1986 after she left for her college. Despite an extensive search, she remained untraceable. Eventually, skeletal remains were found with her hands and feet tied. From ignored complaints to buried bones and silenced testimonies, every unanswered question now demands attention as the SIT steps in. Across nation, there is one hope: justice, truth, and dignity for the daughters who were possibly failed. With Sagay Raj, Bureau Report, India Today.
All right, viewers, let's shift focus right now to Uttar Pradesh because one icebreaker is being read a lot where political messaging is concerned. It involves the incumbent Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath and Brij Bhushan Sharan. And a lot has gone down where Brij Bhushan Sharan is concerned. After years of visible strain in ties with the state leadership, Brij Bhushan Sharan, former BJP MP from Kaisarganj, mind you, his son holds the seat of Kaisarganj now, a heavyweight in Uttar Pradesh politics and in the world of wrestling, called on Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath at the latter's official residence on Monday afternoon. The meeting that came after a long gap sparked speculation in political circles. Though the exact issue discussed were not known, the timing and context of the meeting have added to its significance. Notably, in previous remarks, Brij Bhushan had claimed that he could meet the Chief Minister whenever he wished and there was no problem in doing so. But he was preoccupied with work, especially with the entire controversy surrounding Brij Bhushan Sharan on his alleged role as a sexual harasser when it came down to our wrestlers. Some of them have represented India on an international stage. Even now, while the POCSO case against Brij Bhushan Sharan is closed, the other sexual harassment charges continue to haunt him.
जब तक मुख्यमंत्री जी मुझे स्वयं नहीं बुलाएंगे तब तक मैं नहीं आऊंगा। अब मुख्यमंत्री जी ने मिलने की इच्छा व्यक्त की। यद्यपि मेरे बच्चे जाते थे, वो मेरा हालचाल पूछते थे, लेकिन मैं नहीं जाता। और उनका संदेश मुझे प्राप्त हुआ मेरे बच्चों के द्वारा भी, ऑब्वियसली भी, और मैंने पहले ही कहा था कि जब भी वो बुलाएंगे तब हम आएंगे, और अगर नहीं बुलाएंगे तो नहीं आएंगे। और मुख्यमंत्री जी से हमारे 56 वर्ष के संबंध।
I want to cut across to Kumar Abhishek live because viewers, what you just see is a meeting between Yogi Adityanath and Brij Bhushan Sharan because clearly relations between the two were not quite right, especially in the months leading to elections in Lok Sabha 2024. What is the political significance of both the leaders coming together in a state where caste is a huge factor, where elections come into question? The Thakur factor could very well be that glue. Kumar Abhishek, इस मिलन के पीछे क्या है, जो पॉलिटिक्स इसके पीछे है, वो जरा बताइए।
पीछे को अगर हम समझें तो मिलन के पीछे दिल्ली तो है। योगी आदित्यनाथ
We're having a bit of a problem with the connection of Kumar Abhishek. We're going to try and connect to him later. But viewers, a lot of it has to do with the politics of the state and the center. We're going to continue to get our viewers more. But for now, you have Brij Bhushan Sharan, who's still embroiled in the sexual harassment case regarding our wrestlers. Even though the POCSO case has been shut, but the other cases continue. Despite that, Brij Bhushan Sharan has gained a lot of favor, especially where the BJP is concerned. His son was given a ticket from Kaizarganj instead of him. He went on to win that particular seat, and now, slowly but surely, you have Brij Bhushan Sharan, who's coming back to active politics where UP and even the state centre is concerned.